Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure and privilege to welcome you to this session of Workplace Success Secrets Hub. Workplace Success Secrets Hub. Well, I think we'll just get going. We're expecting close to about 30 people to join us. They are taking their time, but we can't keep your good selves waiting. My name is Olatunji Shobodu, and I'm basically the convener of this hub. And the idea behind the hub is to help people to succeed in the workplace, to succeed in their careers and in their business endeavors. The idea behind this came from running our office politics or workplace politics sessions over the course of last quarter of last year. And we did find that a lot of people could do with counsel on how to succeed at the workplace. So the hub, was instituted. It's free so that we can come together, share ideas, and hopefully through that means be able to, help others who need such support. So once again, thank you for joining me this evening. I look forward to a great session. I look forward to your participation. I'd like to acknowledge those who are already on the platform. I see Olafayemi, I see Victoria Yu, I see Tope Munis. You are all welcome. I believe others will join us as we go along. All right, so I'll just quickly get on with it because the idea is not for me to be the only one speaking. It's also to give your good selves an opportunity to make a contribution, possibly to ask any questions, possibly to seek, counsel on any aspects of your relationship or relations, at the workplace. And it doesn't matter whether you're working as an employee or you own a business specifically. All right, so for today, again, that's a background. This is an initiative that is being carried out under Emmet Leadership Academy. This presentation we normally send after the session. You get it by way of an email from me. So be rest assured that, over the course of the weekend, you would have access to this, whatever you see on the screen, this, over the course of this time that we're spending together. So this is our second session. We started the first inaugural session was this time last month. And again, access to both the slides and the session video is available. We sent that to all those who attended the previous one. And you also can have access to it as well. All the resources are meant to be made available to everyone that participates at the hub and, desires to have access to them. Okay, so what do we stand to gain by joining this session? It holds on monthly basis. Like I said, this is the second, and the idea is that at each of these sessions, we share some tips that could help to develop, or achieve excellence at the workplace, give some counsel where there are participants that have some struggles at the workplace or just need some guidance, help on how workplace relationships can be built, and also provide an opportunity for networking, for career growth, or for business growth, as the various needs may be. That's, the essence of initiating the hub. And the slide on the screen shows a typical structure of a session of the hub. The session takes a maximum of 1.5 hours. Like I said, is meant to be more for participation, to give an opportunity to ask questions in any area, rather than, it's not meant to be a lecture, even though I have the privilege to share, my thoughts in certain areas. All right, so that's me, and just stating there what is my motivation for these sessions. So today's session, I want to focus on what I have titled taking the lead. Taking the lead, if you like, advancing by leading. Some of these issues can be fairly basic, but I think that one is good to remind ourselves. We often forget basic things. We're often told to go back to first principles. We often forget how powerful first principles can be, how that every other thing was built on first principles. So in a sense, it's like saying this is first principles, but I'm sure that in terms of impact, it would be well beyond first principles. So I just wanted to the hub to focus on, taking the lead, or the so here what we be talking about, and essentially what I want to use this opportunity to draw attention to is how one can grow, how one can get ahead of the pack at the workplace by taking the lead, or by taking the initiative to lead. One of the things that I found out, particularly running those sessions on office politics, was that, people preferred just to focus on their work, to get their job done, to do their own thing. And they would rather not put themselves out there. They would rather not expose themselves. They like to depend on their work to, speak for them. One of the implications of that, therefore, is that they sit back and they allow others to take the lead. They sit back and they are not visible. So nobody knows them. Fortunately, they don't understand that work doesn't speak, and that it takes people to speak about your work. And one of the implications of that is that those who then have the boldness, or who have the smartness to put out themselves as leaders, often get ahead of the pack. Now, it doesn't even matter if they are not very strong leaders or very good leaders, but that disposition, all right, to just be ahead of the pack, as much as they understand that it's a call to responsibility, helps them, and it puts them, at an advantage over others. Now, if one understands that you can get ahead by taking on the responsibility to lead, then it can be a very potent strategy, and indeed ought to be a very potent strategy, to use at the workplace. So I want to discuss some aspects of this. Let me say that, please, you can indicate when you want to speak. I think you would see a feature where you can raise your hand. At any point, please feel free. There are not too many of us yet, so we can take any interjection at any point. Please just do that. Once you raise your hand, I will recognize you and then bring you on the stage, and you would see how to speak. And also, if you want, we may also have the privilege of seeing you, of everybody seeing your face on camera, as it were. Okay, so the first thing is what I call, spotlighting yourself. It's risky advantage. First of all, everybody is called to lead, whether you are conscious of it or you are not conscious of it, whether you embraced it or you have not yet embraced it. Each one is called, into a position of leadership. And of course, I'm sure, we know it's not until you become a very senior person in any organization that you lead. It's as long as one, you have people who look up to you, or you have people that you're working with. Even you can lead among your colleagues. You don't necessarily need to be given power to lead. Most times, the best of leaders take the initiative, to lead. And they do that for a number of reasons. But leadership is crucial. Leadership is where many people miss it. People want to advance in the place of work, they want to advance in their career, but they don't place enough emphasis on developing their leadership competence. They don't place enough emphasis on the importance of leadership. Yet, most, leadership, the workplaces are looking for people to lead. They're looking for people around which, they can build communities, around which, they can build momentum towards the accomplishment of the goals, of the business or the organization, as the case may be. Being a leader is putting oneself out there as an instrument, of positive transformation for others. And a leader is very valuable. Wherever you find a good leader, the people around stand to benefit a great deal. And principally by way of transformation, by way of being made better than who they are, by way of, refining or injecting, or focusing them on purpose, in their lives, by way of development, of their skills and in many other respects. So you are called to lead. Question is, are you doing that currently? Do you see an opportunity, there currently? Is it possible that the reason that one is not getting ahead as much as you would desire is that we're not seeing you exhibit leadership, even in that capacity, even in your current capacity? So that's the thing. Now, leading is living. Leading is living. I stand to be corrected, but I know, from my over 30 years of work experience, that nothing lifts and fulfills like helping others to discover themselves and to become more valuable. That's what a leader does. You help others principally. But what do you help others to do? You help others to be better than who they are. You help others to, discover the value in themselves, to discover possibilities, in their lives. You help people, to be more confident. You help people to be able to look ahead, with greater confidence, believing in themselves. You help people, essentially to transform themselves. So leading is living. And so you ought to lead. And so, we ought to look for opportunities to lead. Leading is growing. Leaders are positioned to grow faster. and to develop faster than anyone else just by embracing, leadership responsibility. I did hear, a foremost professor of leadership, Noel Tichy, say that one of the things that leaders should not make the mistake of doing is thinking that they cannot learn from those who are following them. So there are two ways, two important responsibilities to that leadership role. One is that you need to keep developing yourself, and therefore you need to look. Every leader, I always say, must have or has a leader. So you look to your leaders to continue to develop yourself. You take on additional responsibilities, principally the responsibility of developing yourself, because the quality of leadership that you have to offer is a function of who you are, is a function of how much you know, is a function of what transformation you have experienced yourself. So you need to pay attention to that. Now, the other way to look is those who are following you. Those who are following you also are very instructive in terms of how much they can contribute to your learning experience. So leaders must look also to followers, to learn from that experience of interaction, from that experience of providing leadership. The leader also stands to learn. So both ways, the leader is growing. And so the more you embrace leadership responsibility, the more you stand to grow, the more you position yourself to grow. Now, leading is showing. One of the things that comes with leadership, you can't be leading and you are not known. You can't be leading and you are not known. Now, there is often a discussion leading from the front, leading from the rear. I even say leading from the core. It doesn't matter where. Those are discussions that we can always have. But a leader is always showcased. A leader attracts attention. And that's one of the interesting things about, embracing leadership responsibility as a way to grow. Because what then happens is that you basically separate yourself from the pack. Not that you are saying that you are better than anybody else, but it's a risk because there's a responsibility attached to it, but then it does a lot of things for you. One of the things that it does for you is that, it singles you out and you are showcased. And of course, if that job is, if you play that role well, then of course, you can't be regarded as a part of the followership. You can't be regarded as part of the group. And it doesn't matter whether those that you're providing leadership to are even your colleagues. It really doesn't matter. But because you have embraced the responsibility of leadership, you have separated yourself from the pack. Now, once that job is properly done, once that outing, is delivers, then of course, you can be on the same level again. You can be on the same level again. And this is one of the core things, that I wanted to draw attention to and to put on the table, for us to discuss at this session. So when you lead, you become the focus of all and exhibit who you are and what you can do in the process, which otherwise may not be as obvious. So it's, to that extent, it is strategic to go, this route. Then, of course, leadership is rewarding. And one of the ways to look at the reward of leadership is to ask ourselves, when you have a seed, if you plant a seed, what happens? If the seed brings a harvest, then it's not only just going to bring back one seed, even though one seed is all you need to get a harvest. It will bring fruits, and the fruits, each fruit will have multiple seeds. That's the sense in which one can conceive of leadership. You can do leadership well and not be rewarded. And there are both direct and indirect, rewards to leadership. All right. And leading is being forward. It's being forward in the sense that I'm suggesting that it ought to be a deliberate effort, a deliberate gesture, on our part to put ourselves out there and to put ourselves in a risky position. First, because you never lose being a leader. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes with it, but you never lose being a leader. Second, because everyone at some point is called to a leadership responsibility. Now, the more exposed you are, the earlier you embrace it, the better for you, and the greater the prospects, of separating yourself from the pack. Yes, so it's a risk, but you want to serve in order to be served. The good thing about it is that, it involves you, as it were, sowing yourself away, so that you can have much more in return. And that's what happens. And that's the thinking also behind this kind of strategy. Now, so I say here, wise people take the risk of putting themselves forward to lead, and they stay as a result perpetually in front, while those who are not quite as wise, they stay in the shadows. Unfortunately, they remain at the back. And I've had people then say some of those who took the risk were playing eye service or playing to the gallery and all of that. But leaders, management are looking for people who can show leadership. And, it's not to say that people do not play the eye service card, but it's to say it's not always the case. There's the scope for using leadership or leadership responsibility as a strategy, for distinguishing yourself and for getting ahead, and for benefiting in many ways, including developing yourself, within the context of the workplace. Now, let's very quickly look at the leader's challenge. What's the greatest challenge of a leader? And this, if you want to put yourself out, you need to be mindful of what's the greatest challenge of the leader. The question is the following: why? People are asking themselves, why should I follow you? Why should people follow you? The greatest challenge of a leader is getting people to follow. It's getting people to follow. Why should people follow you? Why should you? And if you don't have people following you, you are not leading. You're just wasting, your time. And, one of the things that we often hear is that you shouldn't lead because of your position. You should lead because of influence or because of credibility. So you're not a leader just because you carry a title. The title, I normally argue, and that's it, even if it's not a title. Most times the title is meant to reflect a responsibility. So that responsibility, confers on you certain advantage. I mean, if you make somebody the head of a department, it confers on you some advantage, like it or not. The issue is that you don't ride only on the advantage that the title or the role confers. You go ahead to build on it. And that's where you have the responsibility to make others follow you. That's where you have the responsibility to make others follow you, and to do so willingly, to do so not because you're holding a leadership position, to do so because they see you as a leader that one should follow. So if you like, one of the things we're addressing, the core issue we're addressing today also is, how to become a leader that people want to follow. If people want to follow you, nothing can be greater. Nothing can be more satisfying for a leader. But it's the most difficult challenge that a leader has to contend with. It's the most difficult challenge that a leader has to contend with. Leadership is important if there is no followership. Let me share some of my thoughts on why people don't follow leaders, or why people don't follow those who believe themselves to be leaders. Once again, let me remind us that please, you are free to raise your hand at any point where you have a contribution to make. I would recognize you at this end, and you'd have the privilege of doing that. And if you choose to wait until we're done, until I'm done, it would be in a few more minutes, and then you can ask. And you can use the chat as well. There's the chat facility as well that you can use. So I want to look at like 12 factors very quickly. There's the issue, the privilege of choice. There's the issue of ignorance. There's the issue of independence. There's the issue of indiscipline. There's the issue of a lack of wisdom. There is the issue of pride. And then, of course, you have another set of factors. There is fear of loss. There is familiarity. Some believe they are followed enough. There is what I call the prodigal mindset. Then there's the issue of status quo. And some have been disappointed in the past. If you're interested in becoming a person, a leader that others should follow, you need to take interest in these various factors. You need to bear them in mind. I think that if we have them in focus, it will help greatly in our quest to provide leadership, in our quest to get the people to line up behind us. Once you can get the people to line up behind you, willfully, not because of the authority that you command, or the position that you're, sitting on, it makes leadership a lot easier. It makes leadership a lot easier. One of the things I say is that there is no leader that can influence any of his or her people without the people, each person individually giving them the authority to do so. You can only influence me if I allow you to do so. Forget the fact that I'm following you, or when you give me instructions, I execute what you ask me to do, but my mind may not be there. I may do so out of the fact that you are the one in charge, but I'm not excited to do so. I'm not excited to learn anything from you. And that limits, your ability to influence me. And if a leader cannot influence the follower, there is no basis, for developing them, into leaders, which is the ultimate of any kind of leadership responsibility. So here I'm saying people can work with you without following you. Until they follow you, you cannot truly lead. So you have to strive to lead. You have to strive to lead. And the starting point is to get people to willfully follow you. So if we look at each of those factors very quickly, the privilege of choice, people have a choice. They have a choice. They have to decide whether you are the one they want to follow or not, whether, you are qualified enough for them to commit to or not, whether they're even interested in following you or not. That's a right that they have. They have that choice, and it's for them to make. So what does it mean? The leader must never take, people for granted. Leaders have a work, they have a core responsibility, which is to persuade the follower or their people to follow them. They have a responsibility to hold themselves out as being credible people that can be trusted, that can be followed. The issue of ignorance, some people don't believe I need a leader to succeed. My view is a position that is born out of ignorance. Once you can't fully appreciate the position of a leader in the quest, in whatever it is that anyone wants to achieve. Leadership is a requirement. Leadership is an ingredient that each person, needs and must ensure that is in place. Otherwise, you would undermine yourself, you would undermine your pursuit, leaders are there because there are others who are coming behind. And we never grow out of, having a need for leadership. Like I said before, every leader, has a leader or ought to have a leader, just like, the leader has people who are following. Leadership is meant to be a chain. You never get there fully. Why all of us at different levels are work in progress, and there is always an improvement that you can accomplish. So you have to keep that chain going. If you don't have that, some people don't have that perspective, and therefore they may think that, look, I don't need anybody, to follow or to be ordering me around. Is it that important? So again, if you want people to follow you, must be prepared that there are people like that. Some are so independent. They like to have things done their way. They like to have things done their way, but they don't understand that the world and life itself is based on interdependence. Is based on interdependence. We depend on each other in order to amount to anything, in order to get anything done. So, the days, and is increasingly a challenge into this world, especially, with the relatively younger population. They just want to do things their own way. Nobody succeeds by just doing things absolutely your own way. You can't disregard. It's useful to have the privilege of the experience, of the insight, of the exposure of people who have gone ahead of us in any, area. There is always something that we need to learn. We need always to bring ourselves, under the covering of some kind of leadership, credible leadership or the other. Indiscipline also is a factor. Some people just cannot listen to others. They hate being controlled. They hate being told, what to do. So a leader, if you want people to follow you, you must look out for such people, and you must know how, to encourage them to follow you. And we'll talk about that shortly. Some people believe they know so much, but they abide in ignorance, and so, as it were, what the Bible calls the principal thing, which is wisdom, they lack. And so leaders have to contend with foolish people as well, with people who are not wise, with people who have, no appreciation for leadership. So, that is also a point there. Then there is pride. I mean, why should I follow you? At my level, I've been working for 20 years. I've been working for 15 years. What are you going to tell me? Again, I think the point that I made there, and that itself, once you see that kind of quality, you have a sense, of the kind of leader that such people will make. We have seen that, and people will see that. Some people is going to be because of age. They feel that you are younger than them, so you have, you can be. They have been in the business for so long. I mean, how long have you been there? But leadership isn't so much by the number of years of experience or by how old you are. Is much more by knowing what it entails and having the skills to carry it out. There's the fear of loss. Loss. Some people think that so people are after certain skills that they have or talents, very talented ones. Again, maybe that's why they don't want to be subjected to anybody. They believe that, they're so skilled, maybe in this digital age, they have more to bring to the table, not knowing the significance or the value of leadership, and that it's not about the leader wanting to take away from you what you have. It's about the leader trying to help you, to make better use of what you have. Here I say, there's familiarity. Is it not the carpenter's son? Don't we know his name? Don't we know his parents? Some people just can't come to the level where, I need to subject or subordinate myself to somebody that I've always known. Maybe we were even, colleagues in the university or at school or at some point, and therefore I don't think that it would be a good idea to follow. You have that class of people as well. I mean, I have experienced that firsthand, and it's not piece of cake, I can tell you. Some people, I'm tired of following leaders. I've been following leaders. Maybe they think it's time for them to lead as well, but perhaps they are waiting to be put in a position before they know that they have become leaders. Again, a lack of understanding. Um, um, that is not by position. Then you have those with a prodigal mindset. They, as far as they are concerned, they're like apprentices who believe that now, look, they ought to get freedom. They have been serving people for so many years. Now is the time for them to lead. Now is the time for the leader to leave the stage, for them to take over. And they believe that they know it all, not knowing that they don't know as much as they ought to know. For some people, it's, I don't know why this is needed now. Why should I be asked to report? Some people have gotten so used to that leadership complex that came by virtue of the position they are holding or the title. So when there are changes in the environment and they are now made, maybe there is a movement from one function to the other and they are now made subject to, a more senior person, they begin to feel uncomfortable, thinking that perhaps, they are now that they have been, their position is changing, their position of influence, is changing. All right, sorry, I'm seeing a comment. We have already started. The session is already on, sir. Mr. Suleiman, the session is already on. I hope you can hear. We're already on. I hope you can hear and you can see the slides as well. So just follow us. If you are having any challenges, I don't know if that came out of some challenge or the other. Please just indicate in the chat. If you're not hearing well, you can disconnect and try to connect again. While we're at it, please, can you confirm to me through the chat that we are on the same page, that you can hear me and that you can see the slides. Please, I would appreciate that if you can do that in the chat. But the session is already on. We have gone 38 minutes into the session already. Okay, so please do that. Let me know that everything is fine. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Tolu. I see your comment. You're welcome. For others, please kindly indicate, let me know. Okay, thank you, Victoria. Thank you very much. So please, others kindly indicate. It appears we're doing fine. All right. So the last point, some have been disappointed. They have, worked with leaders in the past and, they don't have a good experience with those with whom they have worked, and so that makes them suspicious, that make them resent, that make them try to restrict any attempt to bring them under some form of leadership or the other. So you have, a variety of challenges that when you put yourself out there to lead, or when you are placed in a position of, to provide leadership, you have to contend with this. People will not just turn themselves over to you, they would not just commit themselves to you, they would not just truly follow you. You have to work at it. You have to work at it. So people may follow you temporarily. That's what, that initial role or that authority that you are given can confer on you. I can follow you because, yes, you are the head of my department, but that's temporal. I give you the opportunities, like the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what you can do. But then I will commit to you only when I know what's in it for me. What's in it for me? What's in it for me? In my experience, I find that many leaders overlook these expectations from their people. People want to know what's in it for me. In a relationship, there's a leader-follower relationship. In every relationship, before you commit to trust, which is the driver of, these kinds of relationships, you want to know, what am I going to get out of this? What am I going to get out of this? So the more you are able to convey that, the easier, it is to get people to line up behind you. So just to give, an idea of the kinds of what people bring to the table, or what you can expect when you put yourself out there, trying to take a lead. This is how people will be in these different kinds of modes, and you must be ready, to transform them from that and to make them true followers. And it doesn't matter what we have described. People can always change. Your job as a leader is how to get them to change from that, mode, to give you a chance to commit to you, and to show them what you are able to do. So let's look at a leader's job. What must you do to succeed? Remember that our discussion is in the context of using leadership to advance your cause at the workplace, of embracing leadership, of doing it right. All right. While many are trying to run away from it, or while many are waiting for the opportunity to be placed in formal leadership positions, you are looking out for an opportunity to serve, by way of leading, as the way to showcase what it is that you can do, and to get favor, in quotes. Favor, I'm sure I hope you know the sense in which I'm using that. So what's the leader's job? First is to make people follow you. And in order to do that, you have to conduct yourself in a way that builds trust. You must demonstrate that you can be trusted, or that people can trust their career or their lives to you. To vote in your favor, as it were, to give you the permission to influence their lives. Number two is that you need to make people understand where you are taking them. Where is this journey? Where is this relationship taking us? What should you expect? Recently I wrote an article in my newsletter, Leadership Insights. I publish that on a weekly basis on LinkedIn and on other platforms. And, one question I was asking is, do you as a leader hold yourself out to your followers to be accountable to them? What do you, present to them that they can hold on to as a basis that holds you accountable? Usually it is that we want followers, to be accountable to us. But the relationship is two-way. What should they hold us accountable for? Because if they have nothing to hold us accountable for, then, we'll be joking to expect that they will commit to us. will be joking to expect. Because when they can hold us accountable for something, then of course they know where it is we're going to know what to expect from the relationship. They know what it's going to take from them. They know what they should expect as well from you, and they can raise an issue or draw your attention or react, as the case may be, when they are not getting what your promise is to them. So you want people to follow you. Your job as a leader is to make them understand, where is this relationship taking us? Where are we going? What will you become? If you follow me, what are the things that you will be able to do? What competencies, what skills, what capacity would you be? Will my involvement in your life bring about in you? So you must be able to convey that clearly. That's the second thing, is a core responsibility of leadership. And we should be careful not to miss out on that. Then you need to make people acknowledge and appreciate the benefits of following. To acknowledge that there are benefits in following you, and to appreciate those benefits. So you ensure that you are all on the same page in terms of what your involvement has to offer. And not only that, that is something that they find desirable. If you define a picture of where it is that we're going or that we should go, and it is not attractive, then of course people will not follow you. People won't follow you. It ought to be attractive, and it must be something that they want. It must be something that they see, oh, I don't have this. So if working with you, I'm going to be able to develop this, that will be great. If working with you, I'm going to be able to do this, which I couldn't do before, and I find relevance for it, I find value in it, then that should be great. Again, that's one of the things that leaders do. That's one of the things that leaders do. Also, you need to make people commit to do what is required through your guidance in order to realize the benefits. So, yes, you are going to become, very capable, or you're going to be able to, you would have this kind of skills, you'll be able to take decisions, you'll be able to even lead people, you'll be able to make people follow you, you'll be able to, accomplish great results by working with people. All of those things require not just work that the leader has to do, but support also from those who are looking to you to benefit. So there must be a commitment on their part. You need to make them commit to put in whatever it is that they need to do legitimately and legally to ensure that you succeed. You need to make people glad that they followed you and desire to lead others in like manner. So what we're saying is that, from time to time, when your people look back, they should be able to see value in the relationship with you. They should be happy. I'm glad, that sort of thing. I'm glad that we have this opportunity to work together, because I look at myself, I look at my capabilities, I look at my, the things that I have gained in very defined, respects, not just in terms of money or in terms of, net worth, but in more, substantive terms. And I see that, thank God that, I followed you. But I did say one thing here, and this is something I always insist on about leadership. The people must see that the core of leadership responsibility is, making others to become leaders like yourself, developing that leadership capacity in them. That desire to also be able to help others and to give leadership what it takes. You make them feel at home, embracing leadership responsibility. And then, finally, to keep doing all of those things, with the same people, but most importantly with others. Just keep at it. But each time doing your best to be more effective. That's what a leader does. And the more you do that, the more you perfect the art of doing that, the more effective you would be in terms of your ability to get people to identify you as a leader that they want to follow, So you lead to win by learning first the leadership, as a vital secret. You learn that leadership is very strategic, is a vital secret to winning and staying ahead at the workplace. And then you lead. Leading means you learn how to make people follow you, okay, and to do what will add value to them. And of course, in the process, the result of that is you leave others behind. You scale up, as it were. You distinguish yourself, and you end up being, better valued within the context of your organization than before you chose to embrace leadership responsibility. Why do people follow leaders? The things you must note about followers. And I think I will soon use this to wrap up now. All right. So why do you follow? First, they know identity. When the people truly know who you are and they are not exposed to surprises, it helps them to follow you. When they truly know who you are, it helps them to follow you. Your identity is not in the name. Your identity is in your makeup. It is in your personality. It is in your character. Who are we dealing with really? If I can appreciate your attributes, I examine those attributes to know whether these are the kind of attributes I'm interested in developing. People with this kind of attributes, what value do they bring to the table? And that's what people will be looking, at. And the reason that is they'll be looking at that is because they don't want surprises, down the line. Some leaders are full of surprises. Some leaders lead by surprises. They are not predictable. There are people who don't know who they are. Today they are one thing, tomorrow they show a different side. No, because leadership is about exhibiting, a quality personality, that has very defined, very clear, attributes. The second is that you need to be mysterious in some sense, and I say that is like looking at you and saying, wow, what wisdom is this? What a manner of thinking? What kind of skill is this? There must be something about you that is attractive in a mysterious way. So people want to know what's behind it. How did you develop this capacity? How did you develop this ability? It's something I would love to develop myself. And, that way, they can see in you that there's something, that they have to gain. The third element is respect. Very, very important is respect. You see leaders shouting on subordinates, being sarcastic, speaking to them anyhow. Just because people are following doesn't mean they don't deserve to be respected. You don't respect their time is a problem. You don't respect who they are is a problem. You don't respect the fact that they have a family, and the women suffer, in this regard at times as well, when they have leaders who are men and they have no regard for the fact that, they're not just that they're women, but that, their marital status and things like that. You must not lead in a way that undermines the self-esteem of those who are looking up to you. If you want them to follow you, this is one of the easiest ways of accomplishing that. Ask yourself, do you treat the people with respect? If you treat them with respect, yes, is a plus for you. Then you need to be an example. Do you truly act like a leader? Are you accessible? Are you available? Are you there? When things happen, are you there when your support is required? Do you respond? How committed are you, okay, to teaching? Do you throw in, okay, all your own effort at the same time? Are you a team player? Or they have to look for you when there are issues. If they have to look for you when there are issues, you have a way of disappearing. They can't see commitment from you. It becomes a problem. Then, of course, you have the issue of reputation. What's your reputation? What are other people saying about you? They're going to hear about you from others. What will they hear? I mean, if they hear good, it helps you. But if they hear not so good, then you have a lot of work to do. To do. All right, the sixth factor is, are you competent or capable? What do you bring to the table in terms of, is there something that they have to learn from you? Do you come across as somebody who knows exactly what he or she is doing, or what needs to be done, or the nature of the challenge, that the team has to face? This is very important also as a way of getting people to follow you. People want to follow those they know to be competent, because it means that they are assured that they're going to have, it's going to be a great ride, and the chances of succeeding, the chances of getting good results or impressive results, and therefore the chances of benefiting as well, are well above average. You want to follow. One of the things that leaders must be mindful of is their words. What do you say? Are you even speaking at all? There are some leaders are very quiet. I've often argued that I don't see how a leader can be very effective without speaking. To lead effectively, you must communicate, you must speak. In fact, the verbal component of communication is also crucial. It's very crucial. What do you say? How do you say it? How valuable are your words? How forceful, how insightful, are the things you say? Do your words add value? Because words are very powerful. Words remain the strongest instrument in the arsenal of anyone who knows leadership. Then, how much do you care? If you show that you care about the totality of the well-being, of those that you have responsibility for, or that you are leading or you want to lead, it will help a great deal. It will help a great deal. Also, there's the spiritual dimension. Everybody needs help at one point or the other. And it's helpful when you know that the one you are working with, has some level of spiritual maturity. Okay, let me close by just these tips on the things what to be mindful of when people have made the decision to follow. At times, some leaders have worked so hard to get people to follow them. But soon enough, like what happens to many accomplished people, they lose that leverage. And I just want to show how that leverage can be lost if care is not taken. And if we're mindful of this, then, it can only get better. Never take your eyes off the ball. We said you must have what it is that you have projected or promised as what's in it, as where that leader follower relationship is taking the follower. Okay. Now, when you begin to see people commit to you, remember that there is a promise and that you need to uphold it. And that promise is not in terms of currency, it's not in terms of, compensation, it's in terms of who they would become. And we must never depart from that. Otherwise, we will undermine that credibility that we have built. The people are going to ask for it. They're looking forward to it. Okay? And you don't want to get to a point where they begin to wonder, wait a minute, I thought the idea was that I would be able to, exhibit this skill, but what's going on? This is not happening. You don't want to get yourself into that kind of situation. Also, there is the point about never taking the followership for granted. Don't take the decision or the commitment to follow you. Is a huge decision that they virtually hand over their lives to you to influence them. It must not be taken for granted. It must not be taken for granted. You have to keep doing everything that you did to get them to the point where they trusted you. You must continue to work, not just to secure that trust, but to ensure that it continues to grow. And that is not taking your people for granted. Don't exploit their skills or talents. Don't let them get the impression that they are being used to accomplish your own purpose, that you are taking advantage of what they bring to the table without them getting any kind of reward. You don't want that, to be the case. You don't want that to be the case. And a lot of leaders do that. When you get results, they don't acknowledge the contribution or, adduce their results to what the followers have done. Rather, they want to take all the glory. That is immaturity, signs of immaturity on the part of the leader. Don't betray their commitment. If you have to be responsible. If they have taken responsibility, you also have to be responsible. That means you throw the entirety of yourself into the game and you don't reserve any. If they are putting in their best, you had better make sure that you are also putting in your best. They will be on the lookout for it. And if they don't see it, it will become a problem for you, sooner than you expect. Don't miss the chance to learn from them. Leaders learn. Everybody, the fact that we're leaders doesn't mean that we know everything. Everybody has something to offer. As a leader, you have that opportunity to add. Either it is from the way they ask, or it is the skills they bring, or it is the way they reason. There is something. If you approach the leadership responsibility with that mindset, you'll be amazed how you can and in fact need to grow from what you learn as well from those who are following you. It's not a one-way thing. All right, don't stop growing. Keep walking. Don't stop growing, keep walking. So I talked about it earlier on. I probably wouldn't emphasize it so I can give you time to speak, which is that the leader has to continue to grow. Leadership requires you to continue to grow, to continue to improve yourself. I've talked about the fact that, you ought to have a leader and you ought to learn from whom you learn, and you ought to have, you have to focus on learning as well from those who are looking up to you. And taking on your own, specific initiatives to develop yourself, in different areas. The quality of your development, the quality of your growth will determine the quality of leadership that you can provide. All right, that I think if and you need to learn. I think this is the final point to maintain the right priorities. This is such a big area, but it's not. I'm unable to speak to that. But it's an elaborate training program that I have on. I call it the weightier matters of leadership. The weightier matters of leadership. Whoever is interested, you can leave your email or just let me know in the chat. That's a program that talks about the how leaders mix up their priorities. There are four key priorities of leadership that we discuss and we show the contemporary relevance. The what leaders tend to put at topmost priority vis-a-vis what ought to be, topmost priority, and give reasons for them and show how they can be developed. And this is something that's important here. Don't sacrifice the people's interests on the altar of corporate eye service. Corporate eye service is thinking that, you just want to, you want to meet the objectives of the corporate objectives at the expense of the development of your team members. That's what a lot of leaders do, whereas it should be the other way around. They tend to suffer anyway, from that kind of approach, because sooner than later it tends to backfire. Sooner than later it tends to backfire. Okay, let me stop there. So these are just the points I, thought to share today. Um, um, Basically saying that if we want to get ahead in at the workplace, if we want to get ahead in our businesses, we should embrace leadership formally. It's not suggesting that we know how to do it or that we're experts in it. It's saying that it is a risky step. It is worth taking the risk and learning how to do it, and it always pays off. I can say that from my experience, and I know it works. I know it works. All right, so thank you very much. That's me just sharing on that subject of taking the lead today. I think I should just keep my mouth shut at this point and allow contributions or questions or comments as the case may be. Please, you have the floor is open. Please, you have room now to comment, and I want to encourage us to please, make our contributions. Let's provide some lively discussion, and let me learn also from others. Let's hear your perspective. So kindly, you can raise your hand. I'm sure you see the facility to do that, or use the chat, although I would rather you raise your hand so that we can hear your voice, or voices as the case may be. We have, I think we still have about 10-15 minutes to the end of our session today. So who wants to share with us, please? Who wants to share with us your experiences, or your perspective, where you differ, what you want to add to what we have said or take away from it, or what you have seen? Please indicate. Let's hear from you as well. I'm still on the lookout for hands. All right, Mr. Gabriel, do you want to say anything, sir? Victoria, do you want to say anything? I see Tolu Anireti. Do you want to say anything? Mr. Sulaiman, do you want to say anything? Please go ahead. Tokwe, do you want to say anything, sir? Morenike, do you want to say anything? Kindly make your contributions or type in the chat, whichever you feel comfortable with. I mean, I can always read the chat out to everybody. Wow. I hope it has been okay. I hope you have heard me, and I hope it has been a worthwhile session for yourselves. The hub is so quiet. We're not having any contributions. We would really love for you to say something, even if just as a matter of courtesy, just to encourage me. I haven't spoken for how many minutes now? I hope everyone can still hear me though. All right, then. It doesn't appear that I'll be getting any contributions. Nobody's saying anything. All right, I guess what is left is to appreciate each one for taking the time to attend. I sincerely hope that it's been worth your while, and there's some value or the other that you're taking away. I want to thank you once more for taking the time to attend. The next session would be first Friday of April. I think that's 1st of April, same time, 8 p.m. Between 8 and 9:30 p.m. Actually, we tend to spend 1.5 hours at the maximum, and hope you would make it a date as well at that next month. My expectations are that there will be more of us in attendance, and we'll have something else, some other important thing to discuss about how to get ahead at the workplace. So once again, thank you very much. Enjoy. Have a wonderful weekend. For those who may be interested, we're having our leadership masterclass tomorrow, holding from 3 p.m. West African time. It promises to be a great session. We'll be looking at leadership lessons from the doc, and that session will be based on a very interesting video, and we'll see the depth of lessons on leadership that we can learn from it. Again, if you have any, if you have an interest in the program, you can signify. I would send you details of how to register for it. It comes up tomorrow, and hope to see you there. Okay, sorry about your chat that was frozen. Hopefully that won't happen the next time. Okay, I see Morenike. Sorry, yeah, I know that you joined a bit late. I'll send you an email where you would have the opportunity of going through the session at your privacy. The session is recorded, so you would have access to the video replay. And thereafter, if you do have any contributions or questions to make, you can send to me, and I will take note to feature them in the next session as well. All right, yes, so you will get that. So next month is another date, first Friday, 8 to 9:30 p.m. It's a workplace success secrets hub where we come together to discuss issues that helps to address workplace challenges, that helps to empower us to do to be excellent and to get ahead of the pack, in our careers and in our businesses. My name is Olatunji Shobodu, CEO and founder, Emmet Leadership Academy. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Like I said, we'll send you also the presentation so that you have access to it. And then, of course, we'll send you the slides as well, is what I mean by the presentation. For those who may, some people often request for it, wanting to be able to go through it in their own privacy as well. So once again, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and God bless you.